that I need to wait and be patient. I got to practice what I preach. You'll hear me say that a lot because that's super important to me. To do what I say, not just say what I do, right? I think we grew up with some of us might have grown up with that adage, do as I say, not as I do. So happy Monday. It's about 6:01. I'm going to give it one more minute and then we can get this party started. So hopefully you've had a great day so far, being as though it's in the evening. Some of you it might already be over, and maybe some of you it might just be starting. Who knows? And shout out to all my nurses that work night shifts. I don't know how you guys do it. You have the patience of saints because that's amazing. All right. So, welcome to Strategies for Success. It is a great day to ask yourself the question, why do we fight change? And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about just that. And listen, change isn't what's keeping you stuck, resisting it is. So let's dive in a little bit. First, we got to do all the fun, which is the wonderful disclaimer, which lets you know that this is just a quick chat for educational and informational purposes only. Also, some coaching, but not therapy and not medical advice. If you need that, I would strongly urge you to speak to your physician. You can search out for some community resources, or you can drop me a line. Uh, I do offer a 15-minute free encouragement call. You can go to docpender.com and we'll talk a little bit about that and we'll show you some of that. But docpender.com will get you to that page where you can sign up for a 15-minute free call and we can help you out with finding the resources that you need because that's what this is about. This is about resources. This is about bettering yourself. And let's do this. So that's the company is all about solutions and we take you from problems to possibilities to solutions. So let's work together. And tonight is definitely something that I think is extremely important and something that I have talked to many, many people about. Hang on. Yay, YouTube Live. Okay. So, again, change isn't what's keeping you stuck, resisting it is. So, many times we decide that something's got to change, whether it's our body telling us, or it could be a friend or a coworker might have suggested it. But we know that something needs to be different. But our brain is actually wired for us to stay in what's familiar and what it is that we know. So we have to make sure that we are cognizant of that. And then we're able to put some strategies in place so that we can make those shifts. And one of the biggest shifts I'm going to encourage today is just being open and aware. And if you're sitting here listening, you're open and you're aware. But a lot of the times, the first question is, I don't even know where to start. And where do I start? And last night, funny enough, I was on with my friend, John Miller, who does Teacher Talk with John. And we brought up change and we were talking to primarily teachers. That's his base, and that's who he speaks to on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. But it was really fascinating because so many times people don't even know where it is that they should start. And that's where I strongly encourage you to take some time, turn off all distractions, whatever the distractions might be. And a lot of us have families. So sometimes we might have to find a time where everybody's asleep. That's why I love early mornings. Or just maybe 15 or 20 minutes that we could go for a walk or sit outside. But we need to disengage because we need to become more aware of what is keeping us stuck and resisting the need to change. So, first and foremost, we're going to talk about awareness. Let's be aware of what it is that we think needs to change. And then we need to be aware of what it is that we want. Even Jesus, even in the Bible, asked the man, "What is it you want?" The blind man. And he asked the same thing of the man who was paralyzed. So if he's asking, we definitely need to ask ourselves, wait a minute, what is it exactly that I do want? So that's where you're going to start. And a lot of the things that I'm going over, if you go to docpender.com, it will take you to my store. And there are free resources that will help walk you through this just like I am. And at the end of this, I'll also show you a QR code that you can scan that will take you to that shop as well. So again, first step, let's be aware of what it is that we want to change. And step two is let's flip it. So it's not only change, but it's growth. So where in your life do you feel that you need growth? Because we know we want change. So that's typically the stuff that we don't want. And when you want growth, that's the stuff that you do want. So, what exactly is it that you think you want in your life now? That growth. Where is it that you feel like you need to grow? And you can look at physical, financial, emotional, spiritual, relationships. Take a look at those areas and try to hone in exactly on what it is that you want. And again, like I mentioned, there's free resources, but write it out. The more you write, the more committed you are to that change. So it's really interesting because I think we get resistant to change because we want to stick with what's familiar. We want to stick with what we know. And actually, since our brain is wired that way, it makes the most sense. But if we take the time to spell it out, it's also a signal to our brain that this is safe and this is okay. So we can go ahead and move forward with that. And sometimes when we try to move, and we start to look around and we might actually be accomplishing what it is that we've set forth, that's when we might panic. So, having it written down keeps us on a steady page of understanding what it is we want and then how it is that we're going to get there. So, again, last night was really interesting because so many people talked about outside forces and what outside forces were bringing into their life. So, what I want to stress today are the internal forces that you need to work on so that you can make a difference in the external world. Sometimes we might be in work environments that are extremely stressful or toxic. But you need to set some very established boundaries and you need to reclaim your peace. That part is on you because many times when we're in those toxic situations, we have developed a pattern of reacting. Typically, it's very emotional, it's very illogical because it's very impulsive. So, there's a lot of emotion tied in, which can lead to us feeling like victims. And I am not negating that, but I'm letting you know that that's not going to help you grow. And I'm not saying we're not victims because some work settings can be very, very stressful and painful, even. But tonight, I want you to think about the internal factors that you have control over and that you can change. So, first and foremost are your thoughts. What are you thinking about? What are you telling yourself? This is why when we write it down, it's easier sometimes to process when we write down. So, and then you have to make a clear choice. So, when you wake up in the morning, you can ask yourself one or two things. You can say, "Good morning, Lord," or you can say, "Good Lord, it's morning." It's a choice. It's a choice we have every day. And yes, I understand that there's a lot of tough days. But again, we have to start internally so we can make externally a little bit better. So, moving on from that, you have told me, or you've written down, hopefully, what's been bothering you and what you're resistant to with that change, like what change would be. And then you talk a little bit about growing. What exactly would it look like? And then you're going to look at internally what different things can you start to either think about, even say out loud, write down to shift the narrative a bit. One of the things when we were talking to the teachers last night, a lot of teachers take work home with them, whether it's grading papers, writing IEPs, etc. So their workday like never ends. So I'm going to ask you, does your work day ever end? Is there ever a start and a finish? If we look at almost any other profession, their work day ends. By the time they get home, they're done. Doctors aren't performing surgery at home, at least I hope not. Delivery men are done delivering, pilots are done flying, but teachers tend to have very lax boundaries. So we work together with them to try to show them that boundaries are helpful and healthy. So maybe you need boundaries. Maybe you bring work home. Does your phone have your work email on it and is dinging at all hours of the night? If so, that's one of the first things I'm going to tell you. If you start to establish those boundaries, you're going to start to see growth and change. So there's a bunch of different things that can happen. Again, that's where that 15-minute encouragement call comes in, to where we can look at why you've been resistant to change and what steps we can take together to get you where you need to be. Check out those free downloads. I will show you those real quick. Hang on. Let's get there. So if you scan that QR code, there it is. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you to the shop. And actually, the very first worksheet that's there was from last night, because I told a story about the goldfish, which is another video on here that you can check out. But it just breaks down exactly where it is that you would like to see that change and you would like to move forward. So let's work together. Let's take down the walls for resistance to change. Let's let that be the past, and let's orient ourselves to growth and what comes next. So, this is definitely your place. This is definitely your start today. Consider this your sign, so to speak, that it is time to grow. It is time to take those steps forward. And I'm here. Feel free to reach out. And remember, solutions start here. All right. I hope everybody has a great night. I see one person on. I don't know who you are, but hi and thank you. um, I hope this video is going to be helpful, and I'll do some editing and be posting it as well. Everybody have a great night.